Hello and welcome back to the Chatterco podcast, where we, break down and review movies, TV shows.
Mm-hmm.
We can get a chance to do that, and sometimes talk random crap. But most of the time, talk random crap. Even during movie reviews. I'm your host, Thomas Hughes. I'm joined by the lovely Hayden, aka Licklet. Because today we're starting a theme for the next 4 videos. A theme of Australia, mate. Good day. But more specifically, Australian natural horror.
Because there's no other type of Australian film.
Well, technically, Wall Creek's not a natural horror. Wall Creek's a psychopath.
It's a natural horror because he's a natural person. He's horrifying. Humans to animals.
Damn it, she got me there.
Mm-hmm.
Got me there.
It's still technically an animal film. Just a human.
Damn it.
Fucking sniper rifle.
Got me there. Got me there. Well, technically speaking, he just played down other animals as well, so.
True.
Damn it, she got me there.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, obviously we're going to be starting Australian national anthem yet. Whatever the Australian national anthem is. Natural horror binge. And we're kicking that off with a little movie from 2007.
Mm-hmm.
Titled Black Water. So, I'll get these up here. So obviously, I have the entire collection. These are all by the same director. All 4 movies are. First one, though, is directed by 2 people. It's directed by Andrew... I can't fucking read the writing on that one. It's too fucking small. Andrew Trocchi, how you pronounce that? Who's the one who goes on to direct all 4 movies.
Mm-hmm.
And he also is... It's directed by David Nerlich. So this one's 2 directors, whereas after this it goes to 1.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we're going to cover all of, obviously, Andrew Trowit. How do you pronounce that fucking name? How do you pronounce it? Andrew T. I'm going to call him Andrew T. We're going to be talking about all 4 of his movies. We're not going to talk about that one movie he did, The Jungle, which is like a found footage movie, which is just a big pile of horse crap. And it's very misleading from the poster. It's like a military guy on the front. There's like a giant monster behind him that looks like really cool. You're like, oh, cool. And you watch it and nothing to that, really. It's like some cameraman that goes into like the jungle.
There's no Iron Man.
There's some sort of monster, but you barely see it.
Mm.
It's like just dog shit.
Don't have monsters. Just a gorilla.
I mean, the monster does look gorilla-ish on the front, but it's just like so misleading, and it was not worth like the £5 I spent on it from like CEX back in the day.
Yeah, it'd be like if they showed the first Cloverfield and make it look like it's a big military thing with a big alien that are all fighting the alien, and then it's all just the found footage.
Yeah, it's very misleading, the poster was. So we're not going to be covering that. And we haven't got the time to cover it because once we've done these 4, we're moving on to another one. But yeah, obviously, so this week we'll be, as I say, be doing the 2007 movie Blackwater, which, we'll get into that in a bit. Obviously, next week we're covering the sequel, the 2020 sequel that was made like 13 years later, Abyss, which has got a few more well-known stars in. We then move away from the crocodile era into the Reef, which was made in 2010, so a couple of years after the Blackwater. And then we're moving on to the 2022 sequel, The Restalked. Again, another long-awaited sequel. And both sequels don't live up to the first movies.
As most long-awaited ones.
Yep, they rely too heavily on the CGI. Whereas these ones don't, because it's all actual footage. But yeah, obviously, little explanation. So obviously, the plot of Blackwater is basically a couple. It's weird.
Sister.
It's weird. It says boyfriend and girlfriend, but it also says husband and wife on the internet.
Yeah.
It's. I was going to say husband and wife.
Yeah.
So basically, a couple. And obviously, they take the one couple, the lady of the relationship. Obviously, they take her sister along for a holiday after Christmas, and they basically, do some sightseeing. They go to a crocodile farm, and when it's their time the next day to pick, obviously the thing they can do. Obviously, he suggests fishing. He's not interested in fishing, but he wants to be on the river, wants to have a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
And obviously they get to the place. Guy obviously was like, "Oh, the guy you after is already gone." they're like, oh shit, I can take you though.
Got no credentials, but I can take you.
Obviously, and they go out. There's 4 of them. Obviously, 2 guys, 2 women, and obviously, yeah, they had a nice time, nice relaxing time. It looks very nice out there, very peaceful, until the boat capsizes.
Yeah.
The guy disappears in the water, and it turns out there's a big fucking saltwater crocodile hunting after him. And a little story. It actually is loosely based on true events.
Mm-hmm.
There is actual some truth in kind of what happened. I'll actually get the story. So the first 2 movies in the director's obviously ones, not his obviously sequels, but the first 2 at least have some truth to the fact. Obviously, there might be it's slightly different to what actually happened, but so the story, the actual truth here is obviously 2 teens became trapped in a mangrove tree in a river after an adventure trip to the Northern Territory of Australia. After a third member of the group slipped into the river, the 2 jumped in to try and help them. As it turned out, a saltwater crocodile was nearby, who then attacked and killed their friend. The crocodile circled and stalked the 2 others overnight as they clung to the branch of the mangrove tree. Though they were rescued the next day, their friend was never recovered. So there is some truth in the idea, in the concept of crocodile smacks the boat, they're trapped in a tree all night, yada yada. But obviously, there's a bit difference to what actually happens. So there is actually some truth within this. Again,
based on a true story.
Loosely based on true events, yes. As I just like the reef is, but I'll explain that when we get to the reef. But obviously, there's a little thing I find funny here. I was thinking this before we even fucking started watching it. I was like, I'm gonna try and get the actual dates for all this. So in the space of barely a year, obviously, I'm going from premieres here, not like full on international releases, because some of them were internationally released a bit later, but obviously the years they're actually fully stapled on IMDb. There was about 4 because I turned upside down, 4 movies based on crocodiles within the space of a year. 2 of them very similar sort of concepts, and 2 are Australian.
I've seen a lot of the crocodile ones you showed me. It tends to be either basically the same kind of premise of the crocodile in the water, and then it's basically it's stalking them. They're in this confined area, or like in the trees, or basically every croc movie you've showed me.
To be fair, 3 of these on this list you've actually seen. There's 1 you haven't.
Oh.
So obviously, in January of 2007, when this movie came out, American movie called Primeval came out, which was again loosely based on true events, which focused on a group of reporters going after the South African crocodile Gustav. Obviously, that one starred the guy from Prison Break and Legend of Tomorrow. You've seen that one. So that came out in the start of 2007, and that was an American-made movie, straight to cinema. Wasn't greatly loved. It's probably, I wouldn't say it's the weakest of the 4 that are on this list, but it's the second weakest. Then that was followed up by obviously this Australian movie, Blackwater, in August. Again, these are like some of these are premieres, because like if you look at some of the release dates, some of them still date till this year, like last year. Sorry, like there's that like long of release dates for some countries not getting this movie till like recently. But obviously I'm going from a premiere. I think it's a Spanish premiere. I can't remember, but either way, actually that was a British premiere. Blackwater was not August. So the Australian movie, not the exact same concept as the last one, but obviously the same sort of idea of crocodile in the water. But in this case, this is one stalking them, whereas that one it's not really, just them going into its land and basically just them stalking it, and then it just going after them. So a bit different. Then a month later in September, there was an American made-for-TV movie called Croc, which was a sci-fi channel movie, which was set in Thailand or Indonesia. It was like that sort of region, and that again was like basically it was that one was more of an actual full-on aggressive crocodile that was literally hunting everything around. Like it was full-on just going after anyone. It was like even coming on land and going to people's swimming pools and shit like that. Like it was full-on aggressive. That is probably the weakest of all these 4 because it's a sci-fi channel movie. What do you expect? And then in October, so a month later, you had another Australian premiere in Rogue,
Ooh.
the movie you've seen, which is a very similar concept to this.
Yes.
A group of tourists getting trapped in a river by a croc. It's a very similar concept. Obviously, I think that is the better movie of all of them. Just because, obviously, it's shot a bit better.
It uses a bigger cast.
Yes, it uses a bigger cast. So there's a lot more different types of people. Whereas this, it's like it's kind of the same constantly. I feel like with Rogue as well, it had a much experienced director behind it. Cause the guy who was behind it was the guy behind Wolf Creek, which is a good callback to the reference you made at the start. / I also made at the start. So obviously there's a bit more behind that. And on top of that, yes, it uses CGI, but CGI looked really good in that movie. It also used animatronics and stuff like that, so it was like really well done.
And the dark as well to have hiding bad bits.
It was a pretty solid movie. As I say, like in the space of a year, we had these 4 movies. 2 with a similar concepts, another 2 with a similar idea of 2 big ass fucking crocs, and then this one that's just like a random, like really aggressive croc that's just going after people. But obviously, each one, apart from this one, really has a big, well-known star in it. So the Primeval had obviously Dominic Purcell, who's in Prison Break. It also had Orlando Jones, I think his name is, the guy who was in Evolution and a few other things, Sleepy Hollow, and obviously fucking a bit of Teen Wolf.
Oh God, yes.
The Blind Wolf, what's his name?
I
can't remember his name in the actual film, in real life or the show. But you know what I'm about.
Yes.
And obviously, Croc had Michael Madsen, who's worked a lot with Tarantino over the years, with, like Reservoir Dogs and stuff like that. Pulp Fiction. Basically, he's basically a big Tarantino worker. Obviously, Rogue had Sam Worthington, who's in Avatar, and a couple of other big name stars. Whereas this is like the one where it's like, I think the older sister was in like 10 episodes of Home and Away or something like that, from what I can gather.
That makes sense. It's
an
Australian film.
But after this, she was in it after this movie. And also the guy, the one who dies first, I'm pretty certain he was in like 2 episodes of Home and Away. It's like just like 2 random people. I mean, from what I can gather on IMDb really quickly.
Yeah, he was kind of a useless character as well. He's pretty much just there to.
He's just there just to be
set up. Just
to basically be like, oh, what the heck? Get them there, and also be like, oh shit, there's something in the water because there's something that's dragging his body away. Oh. Basically. But honestly, I really like this film. It's a different one because obviously it looks very cheaply made. Obviously, if you compare this to, as a like Rogue, which obviously looked a lot more, obviously a bit more of a budgeted one. But if you also compare it to, well, the sequel, which you haven't seen yet, obviously the difference in quality is drastic. I mean, even with Wraith, the difference is very obvious, so you can tell that these are very older, these are probably less budget in them, whereas the later sequels, you can tell there's a little bit more money in them, and there's a bit better technology making these movies, but that does not help them at all, whereas these that are older technology, bit cheaper made, still are better, because obviously it's a rare case of, it's not CGI for these crocodiles, it's literally practical effects and real crocodile footage. So they're literally the exact same with Reef. I'll mention it in that as well. They shoot the movie and they also shoot footage of the animal in its natural habitat doing stuff. So that she's coming out of the water, eating something, yada yada. I think Reef's one looks a lot nicer because it's a lot more underwater footage. Whereas this, obviously, it's just more it coming jumping out the water every now and then. There's a bit less of it. Whereas Reef is a lot more really beautiful underwater shots. But that's what helps this movie a lot. I feel like if it was just CGI, it'd be a bit naff. But I think because of the fact that it's a good example of merging 2 sides of footage together, is why it works. Whereas its sequel, they did the same, but also a lot more CGI in it. And for me, that does
Takes
not.
the heart out of it.
It doesn't. I mean, even like the practical shots of it, of the actual footage of the croc, does not blend well at all in the sequel. Like it blends so bad. In my opinion, there's a couple of shots that I'm just like, you can tell it's a real crocodile, but you're like, well, that's clear you're not there with them. Whereas this, you're watching it and you're like the one shot of the croc behind you, you're literally like, is that literally right behind her? Because it looks so well blended in with the light. And you're literally like, did they shoot this with real? What the fuck? Is that in the same scene as them? Obviously, it's not really. Obviously, I believe they're more. Obviously, from what I've read on the internet, basically, obviously, they did their own like fake CGI stuff on set to basically map it and whatnot. Yeah, so obviously, they probably just had someone behind it going, or like just a green screen head or something, and then they just mapped over it with the actual real footage. But yeah, I honestly really like this. Is basic premise, very basic premise. And it's a slow burner. It's not a long film, hour 20, hour 25, I think. Obviously, minus credits off, you're looking at about an hour 20. Short film, pretty short film. But it does stand out over two of the other ones that I said came out in 2007. I don't think it stands out over Rogue. I think I've just seen Rogue that many times that it's just so good. But obviously, this is a more realistic size of a crocodile. Yeah, no, Croc kind of was, but it was obviously it is a bit bigger than one. Obviously, Rogue was definitely a big boy compared to an actual realistic one. Though it was kind of loosely based on an actual one, but even then, it was still how big it was. It was nowhere near realistic. And Primeval, again, it's based on an actual crocodile, but obviously they more. I believe they basically pushed it to the extreme. Whereas this, it's a realistic size of a crocodile. So that makes it feel a bit different, and I like that because it doesn't feel like it's more realistic. It doesn't feel like it's just over proportioned. Because obviously, if it was a big fucking boy, it'd be a bit too much. Really, it'd be like, well, they're clearly fucked. I mean, at least with Rogue, there was that many of them that could sort of flee. Whereas this, I mean, if it's a big boy and they're trapped out there, they're all fucked. They're all fucked. Obviously, the thing I like with as well, obviously, this big spoilers now. Obviously, only one ends up walking away at the end. It's a very depressing ending. So obviously, the take out the main, obviously the useless just drives a boat. Here's a fishing rod. I'm dead. That guy first. Obviously, the boyfriend or husband then gets taken out. I like to think that he wasn't even working there.
I think
he's just like some random guy.
The way he was acting and the fact they put the gun, he might have been a poacher.
I don't know. I think the gun was just in case scenario.
I don't know. It's the way he acted. He was too shady, too shifty.
Maybe it's just his acting.
Maybe could be that.
It's more.
He's actually got two roles in Homeway.
Exactly, and they're both just random characters with the same name. Fog number 1, fog number 2. I don't know actually.
He looked like every Australian person that's just like a one-off character.
Yeah, I don't think it was that case. But yeah, anyway, obviously the husband or boyfriend, whichever fucking one he wants to actually class it as, then gets taken out when he's trying to flip the boat over. Fair play, he flips it over, but he gets fully taken out, which is a really cool shot of then the croc literally coming out the water, and you're seeing the fucking the body in its mouth. That's a really well done shot. And obviously then the two women are trying to get out. The one gets injured, they manage to get up a tree. She's bleeding out. The younger sister then tries to basically go and get some sort of assistance and whatnot. Gets taken out herself by the croc. Has to basically kill the crocodile with that gun, which is very it's like, is she going to do it or is she not? Because I mean, she's trying to fucking mess with the gun.
The whole time it's like, you think it's got like gunked up.
Yeah, and you're like, is it actually going to work now? And obviously she has to fucking wash it, and it's all intense. I mean, the music really helps in this movie. The music is very, very, very good in this movie, and it's like really intense. Trying to wash it, and
she's like constantly clicking it.
Is it going to work? Obviously, she shoots it once, and you're like, it might have worked once, but it might not work again. Yeah, it could get waterlogged or something, and obviously she managed to get the fucking headshot on the Croc, which is like a really good shot. And it's the depressingness of her going back there. You got the triumphant music in the background, like we won, and you're there like, is there going to be another crocodile? Because obviously it could either go the way of triumphant music, they're free, they're getting out of there. Triumphant music, curveball, there's another croc. Or in this case, the triumphant music, she gets back, the sister's bled out, she's dead. So it's a very dark, depressing end to the movie. Whereas you look at the other ones I've just pointed out, so Primeval ended literally with them just getting out there, the three survivors getting out of there. Yeah, multiple people died, but 3 got out alive. You look at Croc, again, pretty much all the characters got out alive near enough. You look at Rogue, again, all the characters basically got out. The only depressing thing was the dog got killed in a very gruesome. Whereas this, only one makes it out, and it's the depressing nature of her being like so happy that she's like won. She's getting back. She's shouting for her sister, and it's just like she's dead, and she has to do the really like, depressing, sad ride back. She has to put the body in the boat and ride all the way back with the body in there, and it's just like that is like such a harsh reality. It's just the case of, well, you may as well just let the Croc kill you, because now you've thought you've won, but reality is you kind of haven't. You've kind of lost. It's that sort of depressing angle, and that's what sells this movie heavily for me. It's like it doesn't hold back. It's a literal survival horror, and that's what it is. It's the case of not just surviving the Croc, but surviving injuries, nature,
like
you
most,
name it.
Like films, you see someone get bit and like they're bleeding profusely, but they still manage to survive and then walk it off. And you're like, this one, there's consequences. And like you can see, like the leg bite was a lot more severe than when obviously Grace, as the younger sister, she got bit on the stomach, but you can tell from the wounds it's not as deep. There's more bruises.
What was Lee, the younger sister?
That's the old one.
Double checking.
I swear she was in one. It could have been the older one then. I don't know.
Lee. Grace is the dead one.
Grace is the one.
It's Grace the older sister, Lee's the younger sister, Adam's the boyfriend, and Jim's the random guy. I mean, it's a very small cast. I mean, IMDb literally just has 1, 2, 3, 4 characters. Sorry, 5.
Me 5 because the mom.
5 characters. My maths is stupid. But yeah, you got 5 characters. 1 basically makes a brief cameo at the start. 1 dies very quickly, and it's just 3 characters. Basically, it's just a character-driven story. But yeah, obviously, I like with this as well. They did the topsy-turvy thing. So at the start, Lee is the panicky one. She's the one trapped in the boat. She's really hyperventilating. She's you really feeling for her, like shit. She's like proper scared. Whereas Grace, she's scared, but she's a bit calmer. They're trying to get Lee to safety. And then they do this topsy-turvy when obviously Adam dies. They swap it around, and it's Lee's the more calmer one, and Grace is the more panicky one. So they do the swap it around.
They even like hinted at that, how that's going to work. Like you see Grace panicking over seeing a severed little ear, and then you've got Lee grabs the severed arm and starts
wailing him.
She's obviously dislocates her thumb, and she fix it back. It's painful, and she takes her time with it, but she forces through
and so
it.
it's the case of early on, she's new to the situation, she's fully scared, but as it goes on, she becomes more of a survivalist. She becomes used to this. She knows what she's got to do, which is survive, possibly kill the Croc, save her sister.
Whereas Grace kind of like lost her support system,
which is obviously a boyfriend or husband, whatever the fucking internet wants to call it.
He seems to be the one who was like keeping her calm.
See, and obviously the more depressing angle of obviously Grace's death is the fact that very early on in the movie they reveal she's pregnant. Like very early on, like she doesn't even tell Adam. Like she keeps it a secret. Even like when he goes to the water, she keeps it a secret from him. And then obviously he dies, so she can't tell him. Obviously Lee's the only one who knows after guessing, and then she dies, and obviously in the process the kid dies as well. So that's how depressing the ending in this movie is.
'Cause it makes you think, oh, she's pregnant, she's going to survive.
Yeah, you'd assume that.
Yeah.
You'd assume that it'd be the way around. Lee would be the one maybe who would die.
I I knew the boyfriend was gonna die. Then the whole thing of like, oh, and the like, it's the only connection she has with him and stuff like that. But no, she dies as well. It's just Leah's sister.
So it's a very depressing angle.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think one of the things I do like with this is the scene when obviously it goes to night, so you can barely see anything. The only time you really see anything is the flash of lightning, and in that process you see like a tail every now and again of the crocodile, and it's that the moment of them like not being able to see. Like, they literally, you're in the case of these characters, neither one can see what's going on. All you can hear is sounds. Obviously, as an audience, you kind of keep getting glimpses of what you can see. Obviously, what's going on is the crocodile's eating Adam, and he's fully crunching down, bones shattering, and obviously, as they can't see it, they can just hear the bones breaking, and they're panicking.
Make it worse for them.
And it's the same for us. We can just about see every now and again the shot of Adam's being chomped down on, and it's again the same thing of you can just hear the saying like, oh, that's oh no, and it's just like whoa. So it's like really well done with the sound design this movie is. So that's why it obviously looks. You can tell it's very old. Obviously, old technology in terms of cameras and whatnot. But the sound design, the music are spot on in this movie, and they help sell a lot of this film going through, which helps me get more invested into it. Because you got the sinister soundtrack. So you got the bone crunching sounds of crocodile biting down on fucking bone. Even the snarling sounds when it's like jumping out the water at them. So it's like it's cool. Like, so I like as well the fact that it shows that they're not 100% safe in the tree either, because you see it propel out the water at one point and try and snap them, which is hinted at quite early on in the movie when they're at the crocodile farm and it's dropping the bird in the water. It's like showing you the fact that they can jump up, because I mean crocs can fucking jump up really high, so I mean if they fucking dangled the foot over it, could probably grab them and just drag them straight in, which is something that they sort of hint at could happen when obviously her foot's dangling over, the blood's dripping, and obviously Lee has to get back to get Grace's foot up before it possibly jumps out and pulls her in. That's really well done. I just think it's a really good and interesting survival movie. I've seen a few in this sort of vein that it's not a massive body count. There's not a lot going on, but personally, this is probably one of the better ones. The one example that's coming to my mind is a film called Backcountry Trail, I think it is, or something like that. It's a better bear. It's better like a couple go out hiking in the woods, and eventually a bear attacks, and one person gets killed, and the other one has to try and survive. But it just didn't hit anything. Like, you saw the bear once, and the threat wasn't really there after that. Like, she escaped, and that was it, really. Like, it was just like, whereas this, it's the idea of, the croc's still there. It's there, even though technically speaking, the croc can't stand in the water that long. It's like, I was reading like some facts on it, like the idea of it still being underwater, it needs to actually come up every now and again. So they kind of do push that a bit,
a little bit,
but that's the more tension. But as
you could say that it's somewhere else.
Yeah, but that's what my mind is. It's not actually fully there. It's like around the corner or something. It's like, hey, how's it going?
I think he's trying to find them. He doesn't know fully where they are until the blood.
But yeah, as I said, that film, very similar sort of idea to this, but this works so much better than that. I was honestly in that one, I was bored out of my mind. I don't think it helped that, if I'm correct, that film was a lot longer. Whereas this is a lot shorter. Yes. So obviously that's what makes that a bit more boring at times. It's just like it was too long of a movie for basically nothing going on. Whereas there's a lot of times nothing's going on, but it's tense because of the music. And let's say it's very short. So you really don't get anything going on till like maybe the halfway point for the movie. But that's because you can introduce your characters and then it all kicks off and it's really tense then. So that's why this one works more than say that movie did for me. But yeah, just overall, I just think it's a very interesting movie. It's a lot better than some of these low budget crocodile movies where they go for the high body count, they go for the carnage.
Yes, blood everywhere.
The only blood you really see is the injury.
Yeah,
but you barely see any blood in this movie. It's very tame. Even when Adam gets dragged into water, a lot of movies literally just have like blood just come out the water or something to symbolise, oh, he's dead.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even get that.
A bit more realistic, I'd say. Because like by killing someone, you bleed out, but it would be diluted really quickly.
Especially that
With
murky
the
water. That
Yeah.
water's very murky.
Very dark.
That's what makes this one work as well, because a lot of these are ones like you can sort of see in the water, whereas it's like really muddy, really murky, and you can't see
It
fuck
works
all.
in its favour.
Yeah, easily.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you can think of?
No, that's about it.
I mean, the characters are
Like,
characters aren't the greatest, but they do the emotion right.
Lee definitely becomes better
as the movie goes on, when she sort of kicks it into survival mode. But it's just like they aren't the greatest of characters, but that kind of makes them a bit more realistic, because if they're all like these brave or whatnot straight away, it'd be like
you don't want like someone who's one end pure brave, the end the pure like evil and cowardly and I'm gonna sacrifice. They're just normal people.
Yeah.
Which probably makes it, which works, especially when you're using not very big actors.
Yeah.
It's more home feeling, you know.
Yeah.
More down to earth.
Yeah, basically.
Which makes sense, because obviously the budget isn't probably, you can say it's not as big.
I can tell you what the budget probably is.
So obviously doing stuff like nature shots, using not that well known actors, and only having a limited cast, sort of like it helps.
According to IMDb, the estimated budget was about $700,000, and it made a worldwide gross of $1,271,000. It did pretty well. I mean, it actually won some awards. It was nominated for multiple awards. It was nominated for the Australian Film Institute 2008 was nominated for Best Supporting Actress, Best Editing. At the Australian Guild of, there's a lot of Australian there. Award ceremonies. Australian Guild of Screen Composers. It was nominated for Best Soundtrack. That it won. It won Best Soundtrack, which I understand, because the soundtrack is very tense. Film Critics Circle of Australia Awards. It nominated for Best Supporting Actress, Best Editing again. IF Awards was nominated Best Actress, Best Director, Best Editing. And in the Melbourne Underground Film Festival, it was nominated for Best Director, which it won, and Best Cinematography, which it won. Which I understand, because cinematography, though it looks cheap, because obviously it's a lower budget than a lot of these other sort of croc films.
Yes,
the cinematography is really well done, especially the blending of the crocodile footage and the real footage. It's though it's all like this sort of very simple sort of setting. It's if it was cinematography was crap, it basically would drag a lot away from it. But because it's really well done, it just adds a lot to the movie and does get you through a lot of like the more blander moments. Like it does get you through it a lot more.
It's like a really well done TV film,
essentially, but not a TV movie. It was more obviously. It was actually a movie. It's weird because on these, obviously, the one who plays Lee, she's nominated for a lot of Best Supporting Actresses, but yet at the One Award Festival, she's nominated for just Best Actress. Like, I don't get that.
Because it's hard to tell.
Unless they're just classing it as different. I don't know.
It's hard to tell. Like, obviously, she's the one that wins it. Like, she survives at the end. Would she be classed as the main character?
See, I wouldn't really call them any of them supporting characters, really, apart from the guys, the guy that dies and the mom. But all three of them, I'd really used to refer to them as main characters. I wouldn't refer to any of them as supporting, because they're all literally front and center.
It diminishes, like.
So it's a bit of a weird one. But yeah. Anything else?
No.
Okay. But yeah, overall, I literally think it's an entertaining film. If you've never checked it out, you can pretty much buy the DVD pretty much dirt cheap probably now. I literally bought, because I didn't know if I could find my copy of it, because I couldn't find it at first. That's why I brought the digital download. You can actually get it on like Amazon Prime Video for like $3.99. It's dirt cheap.
On CX.
you can get it anywhere probably for really cheap. As it's a 2007 film. You can. There's probably some sort of streaming platform out there that had it at some point. I know Amazon at one point had it on, which is why I went on there, but then they took it off. So I've had to buy it. But it probably pop up on like Shudder or something at some point.
Probably.
I'm pretty certain it has at one point before. But either way, you can check it out in most places. So if you haven't checked it out, you should check it out. It's an actual pretty decent movie. So yeah, obviously, if an overall score, if I'd give it, I'd give it a slap bang 8. Nothing higher, nothing lower. I know we've covered like some stuff recently, like Gremlins 2 and Team Up, which we've had our quarrels with, but we've had a lot more. Obviously, Gremlins 2, there's a lot of laughs. Team Up, a lot of nostalgia, so they do ump the score up. Whereas this, I feel like an 8 is probably about where it is. As I say, because the characters being a bit bland, that does drag it down a bit.
It's not the most exciting film, but it's really well done.
Exactly.
That bumps it up. And I will agree, 8 as well.
8 as well.
Because it's better than mediocre. It's really well done. The shots are really good. And the whole realistic feel for it works best for it, I think. So the whole cheaper look makes it feel more...
realistic.
Yeah, like you're actually watching a documentary.
Yeah, basically.
Which is, I think, definitely helps.
Yeah.
Obviously, to 8.
Okay. Well, that's simple then, 'cause that would give Blackwater 2007, because there's like 2 other films called Blackwater as well. But the Australian crocodile movie Blackwater, the Chats gave overall rating of 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
Okay, MVP. I mean, Lee's probably the only one that stands out. She's the only one that actually has character development properly.
The one that survives, the one that actually like does all the classic Survivor stuff, and
she's the one that has character development.
Like,
she's a wimp,
she
becomes a badass.
She's literally the one that like dresses Grace's wound. She puts her dislocated finger back. She kills the croc and survives, while the other 2 die. And usually the ones that die aren't the most standout ones. And there's the emotional core of Grace and stuff, but Lee, character-wise, she one with a proper arc.
Yeah.
Where the other 2, like, don't. She's like, Grace starts off pregnant, doesn't tell her boyfriend, ends dead, but still pregnant, but that's dead as well, obviously, and not told the boyfriend because the boyfriend died. So it's like not really much progression for them, but later is from being a normal city girl to literally
Survivor.
Yeah, like Crocodile and Dundee.
Okay, and so runner up, the crocodile, because it was an actual real crocodile, not a fucking CGI creation.
So technically, we can class it as acting.
Well done, crocodile. You did a good acting job.
Yes.
Well done, son.
You got paid in chicken.
You got paid in the start. That and people.
Oh yeah, true.
Okay. Favorite moment for me, it's the shot of Lee in the water. It's the trailer shot. It's the last shot of the trailer. Lee in the water and the crocodile's head just peering up behind her. It's like one of the last pivotal moments when obviously she turns around and it kills it. But it's just that shot of it just like easing up out the water behind it. It's just like really well done. It's a really good shot.
I think when Lee's getting attacked and she kills the croc, because the whole tent stuff, it's still clicking, and you think, oh, they make it seem like at first Grace is the main one and she's the one that's going to survive because of the baby. It makes it seem like, oh, she's gone and Grace is going to have to like escape on her own. But she actually kills the croc fully. And it's the fact as well they established the gun, and she's the one that saw
it originally.
Where he put the gun. So
they're literally saying the scene, the few seconds straight after my scene.
Basically.
Okay.
It's basically the same scene, but it's specifically...
It's a continuation.
It's specifically when she shoots him. Because it's the whole tent stuff, and it just happens suddenly.
And the girl's just like, ugh.
Because like most films, they focus on the gun as she clicks it and then do it. But it's the fact that you just see the croc and bang.
Blood splatter on her face.
Yeah.
Okay. I can't think of a question, so I'm just going to skip that today.
Like crocs.
Do you like crocodiles?
What's your favourite croc?
What's your favourite species of crocodile? Is it the saltwater, the Nile, or any of the other ones? Is it the one that bit Steve Backshall?
Man, Shawn Mendes.
Man, Shawn Mendes. Oh, because La Crocodile. That was actually a good film, to be fair. Fuck's sake. Okay, so that is it. Obviously, next week we're going to cover the sequel, which isn't anywhere near as good as this. Obviously, Blackwater Abyss, which is like the first movie that came out in cinema after the cinema shut down for COVID.
Oh.
It's the first like movie that came out. Glad I didn't go and watch it in cinema. But yeah, obviously you can check out the podcast on your most platforms, obviously Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, etc., etc. You can also check it out on YouTube, where you can see our ugly mugs actually laughing and joking around. But yeah, obviously that has been it for the Chattercare podcast. I've been your host, Dranking Thomas Hughes. This has been the lovely Hayden Roberts, and we hope you enjoyed, and we'll hopefully see you next time.
Bye.